new decisions that are going to have to be made. So we've reached the point of summary, and it did remind me, reflecting back on the topic of change that, and climate change, that a book I read called Collapse, which some of you may have read, of the author Professor Jared Diamond of the UCLA, and a very interesting study he made of ancient civilizations from the Maya or the Inuit and so on, and he looked at the reasons why those societies had succeeded or failed in the face of change in their environment. And what he tried to do was to draw conclusions as to what lessons could be learned from those societies for today's society, facing as we do all of these challenges we've talked about. And his conclusion was that the most resilient societies, the ones that succeed for the future, have to do two things. They have to learn from the past, but they also have to be prepared to abandon methods and ways of thinking that are no longer appropriate in the new age. Now, that many societies, ancient civilizations, failed to adapt, and they died out. Obviously, today in the 21st century, we have a much better chance to be successful, and in particular in our industry, by mixing this learning from the past with embracing the modernization of learning and development. So we have to, what we call, fix the basics, do some things, right first time, all the good safety and reliability practice that we know about. But in order to secure the future, we have to be prepared to reach out and embrace and be prepared to look after the future generations by improving the ways that we work. So that concludes my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the gentleman? Well, while people are thinking, let me throw one at you. I'm reminded in our company we have put in all the training systems that one always puts in, and I'm reminded by a conversation I had with a gentleman that started a very successful Chinese restaurant chain in the United States called P.F. Chang. And they did something very different that has a lot of applicability to our industry. They looked at how they could relate their training programs to their business objectives. And their business objective, obviously, is to get more money and get customer satisfaction. So they trained their employees. And if you go to a P.F. Chang, you will find that they know about every item in the menu. They know how the company was formed, everything. But what really made a difference to their system was when they decided to put a blog for employees to tell each other about their successes and their failures. And they now have more knowledge imparted to employees by employees. So one of the things that we're looking at is how do we let employees train each other with successes? You care to comment?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously an excellent case and something that would be a best practice, if you like, in the nuclear industry, in the sense that, coming from a traditional base, we've observed some reluctance to inch into the modern kind of metaphor of peer-to-peer collaboration and networking. We have seen the early signs. For example, on many of these new projects, you have an international supply chain with experts. They cannot all be co-located all the time. So it's only natural that we will move into an era where the electronic communication in a continuous 24/7 way is something that becomes the norm. We also find it very interesting that the generation of intelligence and to make a successful process can also automatically create learning materials for the future. So by means of the electronic blog, that could also be searchable if the same situation comes up in the past. So, for example, if you, presumably there are many car drivers in the room, if something goes wrong with your car, in the old days you had to take it to the branded garage, and you know they would do an expensive diagnosis and tell you as you shake how much it will cost to fix it. Now you just go online, and you know, I've never found any case where something that was I needed to attend to was not there, not just the diagnosis of the problem, but exactly how to fix it, with photographs, with videos, with frequently asked questions. And what amazes us is, you know, sometimes in the nuclear industry, we ask people to kind of hang up all that intelligence at the door when they walk in and say, no, we don't work like that. We're kind of much more traditional. And the change that you describe is something that I think it absolutely has to happen as we modernize.
Alain, you had a question?
Yes, my question is also on communication. You mentioned in, I think, one of the last slides, communicate success stories. Do you mean communicate success stories about the learning process, or about, in general, about the company success? And is it only internally, or would you also use that externally?
Good question, thank you. I was actually referring to communicating the success of the change initiatives, specifically around process development and learning, because I think to gain attention of the leadership and the management structure in an organization, you can create an attention span for a period of time, and to have the communication machine working for you. You can appear in the toolbox talks and the weekly team briefs and so on. But very quickly you have to make it the normal way of working and embed it in daily practice, so it doesn't have to be managed as a special program. So that the art of communicating these type of programs needs as much attention as a more general PR. In terms of external communication, I think with the normal concern about revealing of inappropriate information, we do read in the press from time to time of inappropriate employee comments reaching the mainstream media with somewhat negative consequences sometimes for the employees in particular concern and the organisation as a whole. So I think you need some guidelines around that.
Questions from the audience? There was one in the middle here. Yes.
Dominique Chauvin, Sustainable Development Advisor. Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation about this problem of workforce and workforce for the future. But don't you think that what is missing in your panorama is a sort of vision, a simple vision about this subject, this business in the future, in order to create a little bit more of attractiveness and motivation for the young people to jump into this journey, you know? And yesterday we have spoken about the various stages of this industry: survival, renaissance, reality. But what about the vision, you know, they can have? And I'm referring to probably generation 2, generation 3, generation 4. What do you think about that?
I think to lay out a vision for the future of the industry and the exciting opportunities, Alain's piece really talked to the potential for use of the media that young people refer to today in establishing a kind of a broad-based communication layer, but more particularly to what organizations can do, how they can create a better vision. There is one case in the UK which is led by our own nuclear decommissioning authority, which has created a scheme called nucleargraduates.com, and that is, if you go to the website, you will see a very vibrant, exciting, kind of funky even website which gives little cases of what careers they could follow, and they created an initial training path which is a very rapid placements around different parts of the industry. So instead of joining one kind of vertical company, they are arranging with these schemes to create transferable qualifications. So new graduates coming in can get the chance to experience working in many, many different environments and receive the stimulus in that way. So we have to, in summary, we have to have the broad-based kind of positive messages, but we also have to make it a reality, and there are schemes in the UK now already delivering the first graduates pursuing that scheme already into their second year.
Questions? Over there. Yep.
Bob Hoffman, RBH Associates. Mr. Adler, your presentation was a very good one from about a 20 to 30,000 foot level, I think. Those of us who have run companies and are managers in this room, many of us here, always want to have a situation where we hire new college graduates, for example, who can hit the ground running. And you know, most of the graduates we hire now are, of course, engineers. And engineers, for some reason, are great engineers, but they don't know anything about a business or how to run a business or how to do anything in a business sense, because they haven't gotten that education in the colleges and universities they've gone to. We then have in-house learning processes that we teach in our various companies that bring them up to speed. But the learning curve is really a little bit slow. They certainly haven't hit the ground running. And any suggestions that you would have as to how to get these people on board with their project management knowledge, with their accounting knowledge, with their the normal business knowledges that we require of them when they come into the company, that they can learn in engineering school and not perturb the engineering education?
Thank you for your question. I think it's a combination of what the schools and universities can do to modernise their own syllabus and curriculum. We have all read about the reduction in the number of engineering graduates, particularly in the UK, but also the popularity of engineering courses and the fact that the schools which offer a nuclear engineering option have rather fallen back. So that all needs to be renewed, and we'd certainly applaud any attempt by the universities. There's one particularly well known at Dalton in Manchester, which in the course of providing updated courses may be able to inject the business wisdom or insight. But once they enter the workforce in your organisation, there is a whole range now, more e-learning type material that is available on demand at the point of need, and this is just a case to kind of get organised. The material is not so difficult to source, but we think there's a huge imperative on the mentors within our organisations to do a better job of thinking about the learning process and how to blend experience and practice with theoretical inputs. And after all, one of the challenges we face because of this scarcity of senior specialists and expertise, guess what? They don't have much time to be good mentors. So, somehow freeing up the time of the senior people to do the mentoring tasks is also another aspect of that acceleration of learning that I referred to.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next speaker.